Hey y'all, welcome back. My name is Sarah and I just love to talk about movies. And today we're going to talk about I Am Number 4. So I mentioned before in another video how during like the early 2010s, for a while there was a streak of young adult novels that were being adapted into feature films like The Hunger Games, Beautiful Creatures, Vampire Academy, The Host, a lot of them. And one of those was I Am Number 4. It is part of a series of books, but it never quite took off, so we just have the one movie. I Am Number 4 is about a group of young aliens and their guardians / protectors that escaped the invasion and destruction of their planet by traveling to Earth and settling here. Only 9 children at the time escaped. The camera is moving from the planet, from seeing Earth out in outer space, down into the jungle, through the jungle to a hut. There's a, like, what looks like a father and son, like an older man and a boy in this tent. It's pitch black. Somebody hears crackle, crackle outside the door. Older man picks up this weird sword thing that starts to glow, goes to check the door, doesn't see it, looks around, doesn't see anything, turns around, gets snatched out of the door. So the young boy immediately books it and tumbles out of the back door and basically starts like running through the jungle, climbing up, jumping off of things. Meanwhile, he's being pursued by what looks like a dinosaur, jumps all the way down, tumbles, rolls, lands like what seems like miles away at this point, only to get immediately grabbed by what also looks like a dinosaur man who like stabs him and he turns to like dust. And he takes this amulet that he was wearing. On the other side of the world, there is a older teen boy who is, riding his ski-doo, doing flips and tricks and being tanned and muscly with the other tanned and muscly kids. Looks like something from the OC. They're having a bonfire. It's like nighttime. He's swimming with this girl and they're, getting closer and closer, talking. Next thing you know, his leg starts to burn and light up. And he like swims away from her and like passes out on the beach. And when he wakes up, you think it's his father is there, Henri, who's like, well, we gotta go. And by gotta go, I mean we're moving. So they move from sunny, beautiful Florida to a random city in Ohio. Paradise, Ohio. John, or number 4, changes his look, does something with his hair to make it blonde, decides that he wants to go to school, so he goes to school. And, it's there that he gets the lay of the land. Jocks / bullies, nerdy kid / the bullied. They're sort of trying to feel him out, and he ends up catching the eye of the quirky creative girl, aspiring photographer. She takes pictures all the time, whether people are aware of it or not, and that got her into trouble, and that's where he met her. So Henri sets up shop, and you get an idea of what it's like when they move to a different place. So he has set up all of these computers and surveillance cameras and stuff. I don't know if he created the software or he bought it, but when he uploads a picture of number 4, his image is scrubbed from the internet. So anywhere that there's a matching photo, it's immediately scrubbed. The girl, the photographer girl, Sarah, had taken some pictures of him, and when he found her blog, which you see how old this movie was, his picture started disappearing from the website. You gradually find out more and more about him, that all 9 of them are connected, and every time one of them is murdered, the others can feel it, and that could be a signal of something. So Henri is trying to figure out what is going on, how they were found in the first place. And meanwhile, number 4, or John, is just focused on hanging out with Sarah and doing normal teen boy things. Unfortunately, he appears to be going through a change as well, besides his leg looking like it was branded. So they are being pursued by the dinosaur men. In addition to them, they're also being pursued by a woman with like long blonde hair. So he and Sarah are getting closer and closer. He's getting an idea of what I would say upper middle class America looks like, where Sarah lives in a house that she's lived in her whole life with 2 parents, a little brother, what it's like to come home every day and eat dinner at the table and what that's like. So there's a fair coming up, and at the fair, there's a confrontation between him and a bunch of bullies. And what they don't know is he's been developing a lot of physical strength lately. When they decide that they're gonna jump him in the middle of the night in the woods, it doesn't work out so well. One day at a party, he ends up revealing his powers to her and then having to come clean about, I'm an alien. Unfortunately, when you are messing with a bully's ex-girlfriend and that bully just so happens to be the son of the sheriff, you get the sheriff's attention. Due to some very mysterious things happening in their town, they become the people of interest. And Henry's like, okay, so let's go. We gotta close up shop like we normally do and leave. John doesn't want to leave because he has connected with Sarah, and as it turns out, puppy love is not just puppy love to their people. It's much more of a permanent bond. So John wants to figure out how to make it so that he can stay there, and ends up following some leads via the nerdy bullied kid at school, Sam. So apparently he doesn't know everything in terms of the plan that his people had for him and the other 6. He doesn't know why they moved there specifically. Only Henri knows, and Henri gets kidnapped. So then they have to find out where Henri went. And in following a bunch of clues, John ends up revealing to Sam that he's an alien. Sam is relieved because apparently his dad was very into aliens and they used to take trips and all this stuff when his dad disappeared and is presumed dead. Sam and John join forces to try to find his dad. They end up falling into a trap set by their enemies, and that kind of sets them up for this huge mega ultra confrontation at the school. We learn who the blonde woman is, and we learn who Sam's father was and why his work was so important. Henri doesn't make it. Weirdly, Mark does. Don't know how that worked out because he got thrown up into a building, the second floor of a building. I guess he just kind of slid down and somehow survived. Huge fight scene towards the end, lots of explosions, powers are revealed, and the movie ends with Mark and Sarah staying behind in order to protect her, with number 6 and number 4 and Sam riding off into the sunset. The beginning was really intense. You see a man and a boy, and they're in a hut in the middle of the woods, and they don't look like they belong there. These look like Caucasian people, and they're in the middle of the jungle in this hut. Already, it sets you up to be like, okay, this is interesting. Why are they there? The chase scene afterwards was really intense and kind of complicated. It was clear that they had an escape plan for him. It's one thing to know where they are. It's a whole other thing to already know where like the escape plan would lead. That's a whole other thing. So it was like, how did they know? The Mogadorians look almost comical out amongst other people. They kind of shuffle and don't seem to be able to move very fast, but they are very strong. And they kind of remind me of Frankenstein from like here down. They wore all black, long trench coats. Besides them just not liking the numbers people, I couldn't figure out what the whole purpose of it was. In the beginning, there's like a voice kind of narrating what happened, but it's more like our planet was invaded and we had to escape. Why the invasion? Why only literally a handful of y'all made it out. We don't know. There's a lot of stuff that's vague and undeveloped, and it could be because there were supposed to be other movies, but now it's just weird. It's just weird. It's also very obvious that that girl is one of them because she has the tattoos and we can see them. When you first see number 4 and he's on that ski-doo, he's just like wearing shorts and you can see he has tattoos. And I guess you assume that, well, his parents are really liberal, let him get tattoos, but she has the same ones. I don't know if you guys noticed, but number 4, number 6, and Sarah's characters look like they could be related in this film. They all look alike. And I don't know if that was an accident, which it probably was. And this is what happens when there's just not enough diversity in the room. Okay? I shouldn't have to say that because I feel like we are all aware of that. But is he your brother? Is he your cousin? Oh, y'all are supposed to be love interests to each other? Oh, that looks weird. The main cast is so small, you 3 make up half of the cast. So the fact that they look alike is odd. And there are so many oddball details in the film that make it interesting but are never really developed. Like that stone, that weird glowing blue stone. What is that? We don't know. What's it for? Not really sure. They showed number 4 and number 6 like putting 2 halves together, but there are pieces of stone like everywhere. What is it supposed to do? We know for them when they were each holding a side and pushed them together that they realized where the other numbers were, but as far as what the other pieces are supposed to do, no idea. I mean, they literally just skipped town. But I'm assuming that Henri had equipment, Henri had computers, Henri had software programs that he knows how to access the resources that they need in order to stay off the grid. They just left. They just drove off into the sunset. Besides the numbers having all of these different kinds of gifts, some of which came in handy at the very last second to defeat the bad guys, what is it about them that is relatable or like connects to the audience? I mean, they don't talk about what they like about human culture. They don't talk about what they remember from their own home planet, plants or food or anything other than things as they came up, like the love thing. Like Henri telling John that they love differently and that they're like bonded when they fall in love with someone. There just wasn't enough to connect the things that they were introducing us to. I did like Sarah's room. I liked her room. I thought it was really well designed as a teen girl's room. It looked like a room that had grown up with her. Her like interest stuff was everywhere. I did like that. Sometimes they'd be slipping, like Sadie's room in the Boogeyman sort of looked like at one point it was decorated and then nothing was really added to it to show that the person who lived there had new interests mixed with old interests, or maybe like they got rid of all their old interests and like was only putting up new stuff. It was just very generic teen girl. Her character was not developed enough for me. She didn't really speak very much. And the things that she talked about were like very general angsty teen girl. She wasn't very expressive until the situation warranted it. Like him getting jumped by those guys and her getting kind of kidnapped, that got a reaction. Everything else was just, it was like a one note kind of thing. Him leaving, she didn't cry. I mean, they kissed, but it wasn't like this emotional, don't leave me kind of thing. Not like in Twilight, where when Edward was like insinuating that he was gonna leave Bella in that first movie, she was like about to have a panic attack. It wasn't nothing like that. It made me wonder if his attraction for her, if it like goes both ways, because he's an alien. So, and there's lots of things about himself that he don't know. So if their attraction to each other is like equal, then I wish that we would have seen that more with her. There was so much that was going on sort of behind the scenes, but not really. Like the conspiracy theorist secretly working for the Mogadorians. That was random. It only showed up at that point Like, if there were people like that working against them, like, everywhere, I think that would make more sense. But for it to just pop up here in this place, I wish they would have gotten into that more instead of Sam and John coming up to the house trying to figure out who it was that posted that video of him glowing like a Christmas light, kind of, sort of getting kidnapped and then escaping. And then the Mogadorians coming back. That whole scene with them talking about the comic books are for children and then making him eat that. It kind of looked like something from Hellraiser. Circular saw in like a ball form, and I guess made him eat it. So this is what I'm talking about. It's PG-13 and you have basic teen love story. And then you have stuff like that where you don't see anything, but you hear screaming and you assume what's happening. So it's like we're working on two different levels. And in the middle of it is like a Scooby-Doo mystery thing where they're finding clues and we don't even know what the clues are. So it's hard to get into and stay into the story too much. Something interesting would happen, like that dog turned into that big thing. That was interesting, and that would like grab my attention and keep me from moving away. But I will say it's a lot better developed than other adaptations of books that I've seen out there. Mortal Instruments, I would give I Am Number 4 a 2 out of 5. I would give it a 2 out of 5. It really tries to do the all-American, small town kind of thing with a county fair and a hayride and whatnot. It was like they were trying to combine all of the elements that make up a small town in America in one town. They were doing too much. The note here is not quite right, but they kept trying over and over again. The movie is long, but I would recommend it if you're looking for something like a little different, little scary, little mystery, sci-fi, teen love kind of thing. But you guys let me know what you think if you saw the movie, and thank you so much for spending your time here with me. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.